All right. Welcome to a brand new Euroboys episode. We are here in Barcelona.
We are angry.
We are angry. We are angry.
I've never seen a podcast start like this. Podcasting is like, as a culture, a bunch of men who have no clue what they're doing. In order for the context for us being on this balcony is André shouting at people who have balconies.
No. Sorry, I didn't shout. First, I rang the bell. There's two.
First off, we are in Barcelona.
So we are in Barcelona. Behind us is the iconic Sagrada Familia. So this is yet another amazing location we've managed to score. And what happened was we went to the tourist area and we're like, there's no way we can shoot here. And then I saw scaffolding. I'm like, let me try to climb that up. And then there's no way I could. And so I came to the building and I rang people's doorbells. And then I said, we're filming a podcast documentary. And then these two lovely girls who were just there onto the side. They have opened the terrace door.
Yeah, they did that about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah. And I said it was like, we're going to be in and out. But of course, we weren't in and out because George...
There's a code to this, which is this location, despite being brilliant, was still not good enough for André de Freitas. So he then starts shouting at other balconies, which look like they're slightly better, opening with, hey, I'm famous.
That's not my opener. That wasn't my opener. That was my third line. I said, we're doing a podcast. He goes, what? And I'm like... There's only one way to go from here.
I'm famous. Check how many followers I've got. Just don't look at engagement. Look at the top line numbers, please.
And of course, I'm never going to live this down. We were talking to one balcony, but we didn't realize there was people sitting on the balcony below.
Yeah.
And then they were
you talking to us?
Talking to us? And I'm like, not yet. Depends on whether these people say yes or no. And when they said, I just went up, down, and they went down, and I said, we're now talking to you, and they're like, fuck you. We're no one's second choice.
To think they could have been part of this.
I know. There's a part of history right now.
Also, I'm risking my life. I am trusting Spanish scaffolders with my actual life.
Yeah. And I feel that
for this kind of weight.
Every time you
wow.
move. Every time you move.
Wow. So you bring me on as a guest and it starts with...
Oh, by the way, this is our guest, Ollie Horn. Our second guest. Our first one was a successful actor and comedian, TJ Miller. And today we've got the creator of who's had most toast in their life.
That's not the name of the show. The show is called The Most Toast.
And what's it about?
It's a show where... it's a show that's predicated on the idea that in any given room, somebody has had the most toast, and I find out who that is.
Yes.
Listen.
It's very much a format that suits you.
Well, everyone says this, is the joke that you've had the most toast? No, firstly, there are no jokes in the show. No, it's just, it's great. It's a great show. It's a genuinely great show.
Yeah, I really like the idea.
It's so funny.
I unironically like the idea.
And it's also like...
You're a smart man, very creative, and you deserve praise. Most Toast sounds like a fantastic show, and I can't believe he's making fun of it.
Yeah, rude. And I've got merch and everything.
Probably one of the best shows that will ever be made.
Oh, you're trying to gain favor now, because what happens is, so we have 3 mics. Supposedly, he should be using one of these right now. But George, being George, arrived and I asked one simple thing of him when he left the house. Make sure you have 3 leads, 3 mics. He goes, don't worry, I've got it. And after all of the work that was to set up, find the balcony, find the place, when he goes, here's the 3rd cable, and it was like the wrong cable. I don't think I can
It's just a bit of string, a bit of twine.
The level of anger I felt deep within.
But don't worry, I then found a recording studio nearby where I was like, just go and ask them to borrow a cable. Didn't exist.
Yeah, so he says.
Yeah, obviously it does exist, just George couldn't find it.
This is, I feel like...
His girlfriend's G-spot doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
my girlfriend's G-spot, actually, you know what? The family might be watching her. My girlfriend's G-spot is out of your business. Maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. This is not of your business.
What is this, the Raiders of the Lost Ark? Maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't. We got Indiana Jones here.
She's a good girl, doesn't deserve this.
By the way, I have to say something, which is, we're here in Barcelona, and I'm very impressed with both of your Spanishes.
Oh, gracias. Muchas gracias.
We are very international. Even this Balkan is very international.
Yeah.
We have
A Catalonian?
Portuguese and Brit, a Greek, a Catalonian, and then a Taiwanese and a Chinese girl, like in the same balcony. It's
I
fucking
know.
amazing, right?
Yeah, this is globalization.
It's working out.
And of course, it's the Chinese who own the property.
The British guy is just happy to be here.
So yeah, we do speak a bit of Spanish. Ollie speaks fantastic French.
Yeah, well,
Ollie's very well educated. He's a minority.
Here's the thing that, like, you are not a typical Brit, and you are also someone who has an incredible skill of dating beautiful women.
okay, there we go. Great, let's do this.
This is something that has baffled us all. But you somehow, you know, you were telling a story of this girl. We met this girl at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. There was a French girl, and then you went over. Well,
this is what André is doing there.
Yeah.
He's created a very fake compliment.
Yeah.
And not even a compliment.
Yeah.
Telling you, you're too ugly to pull hot women.
He's lured me in.
And then,
I don't think he's ugly at all.
As soon as he said the level of hot women you're pulling is baffling me. Now he's going to say the story.
Yeah.
You come across really bad.
Yeah.
It is horrible.
But I come across well in that story. So the story that he's alluded.
But it's also a hilarious story that made me laugh a lot, even though it's very sad.
Yeah.
So Ollie indeed has I would say he's a good-looking guy, and he's super charming.
The charm he carries. Charm.
He's so intelligent. Like,
I know.
If I was a girl, I'd be like.
We have him on the Euro Boys, and he's British. That's how charming he is.
Yeah.
You're a Euro boy in our books.
I'm a Euro king.
Oh. Wow. Shout out to our failed.
Before we start besmirching my name, I do sincerely feel European, and I know like the Brexit thing is old news, but I did my Erasmus in Paris, and like at the time I was dating this Hungarian girl who was living in Luxembourg, and I did feel like, well, if the European project means that I could start dating European girls, I'm in.
Yeah.
Right? So, as an 18-year-old, that's the thing that you're most impressed
by.
by.
What's the hottest country for girls you think in Europe?
That is an excellent question. Are you talking about mode or mean?
Go for both.
Because I think that some countries have like really interesting extremities at the end of the bell curve, right? Like I went to Sofia, for example, right? The mode Sofian's not hot.
Sofia.
Yeah.
Bulgaria.
Yeah. So like the mode, like put it this way, that's the only country in Europe that I've been to where like I was never approached in English. That everyone presumed I was Bulgarian, which I don't think is a compliment.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
I just ate my microphone thinking it's my beer. Just this.
Okay, we were actually having a discussion here.
Yeah. Wow.
It just made me laugh.
Whoever says this podcast isn't inclusive, you know. We got our special needs boy here.
Yeah, so I think there are some countries where like the 10s and 9s are like they're 10s and 9s, but the majority fall within like the centre of a bell curve. Yeah. And that curve, by the way, is not a bell curve. It's what's the opposite of bell in French? Ugly.
Nice.
Oh, you're saying bell curve.
I was trying to make a joke. I was trying to make a joke.
Oh, got you.
I was trying to make a joke.
Nice.
I didn't manage to get it over the line, but all the parts were there.
Yeah. Who cares about the punchline? I did all the work.
Yeah.
I think Norway. When I was in Bergen, we've talked about this. I was in Bergen, and everybody was hot. The men, the women, everybody was insanely attractive.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 8s. Couldn't get a look in.
Right. So you had no chance as a 7.
No. I was like, you know, I thought I'd be like, okay, you know, I'm different, whatever, but it's like, It doesn't matter.
He's a 7, but an 8 if they know how many followers he's got.
I do think... I have a theory that fame and summer bring everyone's attractiveness up to 2 points. Because everyone's 2 points hotter in the summer, and everyone's 2 points hotter when they're famous?
I believe.
So you're a 7 now.
Yeah, but it is the winter.
Nice.
I believe I'm hottest when I'm working hard. I think. No, but I don't mean like trying hard. I mean like when I'm like busy and doing stuff. When I'm like not seeking to be hot, then I think I'm hot.
What do you mean when you're like just busy, like being like a business mogul?
Business moves. Ollie Horn Incorporated.
I am the hottest when I am unavailable.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
The
Oh yeah,
amount-
you've been having a lot of
Interest.
A lot of interest.
I had an offer for a threesome.
Really?
Yeah, not too long ago. I was in this place in a party with Charlotte, my girlfriend.
So they didn't invite her as well?
No, she left. And the moment she leaves, girl comes up to me, and I had slept with her in the past, and she was like, "How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Oh my God, it's so good to see you." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Oh, I'm good, thank you." Like I was with my girlfriend, and she goes, "Oh, you have a girlfriend? What do you look like?" I'm like, "She's been here for 4 hours. There's no chance you haven't seen me kiss her in the last 4 hours." She's like, "I'm here with like my friend, and me and her have many threesomes, and I have a boyfriend now, and my boyfriend actually really enjoys me sleeping with other men, and then telling him the story, and we just have so many threesomes, and you know me, I'm horny as fuck all the time."
You're like, I don't know you, just approach me. You're like 5 minutes into conversation, you're like, you know what I'm like.
I'm horny
just
as
a
fuck
big old slut.
all the time. And her friend comes over. She goes, "Yeah, we really love to party, but no, I had slept with that one girl." And her friend was like, "You know how hot she is?" No, yeah, she's pretty. She goes, "Only pussy I've ever eaten, but I'll be happy to do it again any time of the week, any day."
Filth,
and
isn't
the
it?
girl, and the girl is
Filth.
like, the girl is going. Both of them are like hitting on me, and you're in a happy relationship when this is happening. And all I'm thinking is, I can't wait to tell my girlfriend.
Nice.
That's the moment they leave.
You know you're in a happy relationship when you're like, can't wait to tell my girlfriend about the threesome I missed out on.
But I woke up in the morning and I told her about it.
Well, he called me before.
But Charlotte was sleeping. So in the morning I told
With me at the time.
I told Charlotte about it in the morning. And she goes, "Do you have the Instagram profile?" I'm like, "No. But I do have like her WhatsApp profile." She goes, "All right, let's see the photograph." And I pressed on her WhatsApp profile, and then I accidentally rang her.
Ah, no.
And both me and Charlotte were like, hang up!
But you saying that story made you like know that you were in a good relationship. I've got the exact opposite
I
story.
was like, I'm in the game.
Yeah.
No, I'm in a happy relationship, but also very importantly because I think I'm getting older and past it.
That's true.
Then, thank you. And then I had this thing happen, and I'm like, I'm still in the game. Because like, it's happening.
I had at the Fringe a couple of years back. I had a girl. For a while I didn't have much inbound
Are you going
interest.
to talk about how unavailability makes you hotter?
No. What I'm going to talk about is a girl sent me a DM. It was the first time I ever received one of these things as a comic. She said, you were talking about casual... She said, I was in the audience for some show I was doing. You were talking about casual sex. Why did you make eye contact with me so many times? Right? And I actually don't think I did. But she was really hot, and she said... well, I say she was hot. You can judge by 16 pixels normally. And
the Instagram.
Yeah. I was like rolling the dice.
What do you think? When someone's got their like private profile, but you're like, I'm like, it's right on the edge. Do you do that? I'm gonna do a follow, and then if they're just not good, I'm just gonna unfollow.
Well, no, but I've made that clear. I now say on stage, if your profile's private, I will follow you to check if you're hot, and if I do unfollow you, you know what that means, and there's nothing I can do about that. So anyway, no, but,
oh my God.
So at the time I had, but now I'm playing a toxic guy. It's fine. Before I couldn't. Anyway, no, but the reason that story is interesting to me because. That happened. This girl said, I've just left the Fringe, but maybe I should come back. And like, she was basically suggesting she wanted to sleep with me. And so I told my girlfriend that right away. I've never had this before on stage. Like a girl DM me immediately after and just like want to have sex with me. And I got a story about George that's relevant to this. My girlfriend at the time went, maybe you should have had sex with her. And I was like, either this is brilliant or maybe our long distance relationship is over. And turns out it was.
It was over.
And did you sleep with her in the end?
No, but the reason why this was such a milestone for me was a long time ago now. George and I gigged in Bristol together. This is like 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
Like quite a while back now. And I definitely wasn't a good comic back then. And I think George...
I on-code.
Yeah, George absolutely smashed it. He wasn't a good comic, but he sometimes had good gigs. Anyway, I had never seen this before, that George finished his spot, and like this was in a nightclub gig, you know, not a good gig. So there's no green room, so we just sat in like one of the booths. The moment his set finishes, a girl walks up to him, shows him pictures of her in a state of undress.
Yeah, Spanx and everything like that.
What? Just goes up to you.
Straight up.
Goes, here's photos of me.
She goes,
It's remarkable.
"You were very funny tonight, thank you." And then she's like, she said something, I don't know what she said, and she goes, "I have a Fet Life profile, which is a fetish website. You want to see the photographs?" And I was like, fuck yeah, I want to see the photographs. And I had a girlfriend at the time also.
And full credit to George, he did not cheat on that girlfriend. I was there with him.
Yeah.
Imagine how I felt, single, on the same bill. I was like...
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Like, I don't think I get a lot.
I was like, is that
Why am I not getting actually to the Fet Life profile? I was like, is it my net?
is it a public profile? Like, just give me the URL. I can do it in my own time.
it was crazy.
Yeah. But
I'm still in touch with your sister who follows me, and every now and then she talks to me.
great.
Yeah.
But
They come to my shows quite a lot.
one of the things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One of the things that you.
Well, you know, you missed out on the sex, but you gained the fan.
Yeah.
That's what he cares about.
Yeah.
But what are the,
No, because I've lost many fans because of the sex.
Right. Yeah.
Do you not think that there's like some? If you hook up with people who like your work, you're gonna lose them as fans.
Well, it definitely
get to know you as a person.
It breaks the spell.
And you know the thin veil of confidence crumbles.
That's true.
They meet you, they're like, oh my god, this man is broken.
But I would rather date someone that doesn't like my comedy.
Girls,
You'd rather, yeah, I get that. My ex couldn't give a fuck about comedy.
Yeah.
It worked.
That is
Like,
better.
She was like, I couldn't give a shit if you're a comedian or not. She goes, I like you for who you are. And I was like, what? Like, because you know, like how your job is so attached to your identity.
Yeah.
That you can't even separate yourself from them, and then someone like sees you, and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
his ex did also say, I'm the funniest guy she's met. And he hated that.
Yeah, but I'm not a jealous person. Like if someone's like, oh, this guy's really hot. Yeah, great. Or if that guy's really, buffed or really smart, whatever, I don't get, But if someone says...
You're hanging out with us very well.
Really funny. Do you not get this?
Well, no, because the reason I think funny is so, knowing what I now know about comedy, I know someone that is absolutely killing it on stage. It's a bit like, I really respect people that go to the gym and get buff, because it's one of the few things that, no matter how much privilege you've had growing up, no matter how much money you've got, you can take shortcuts to get buff, and sometimes it's genetics, but you nonetheless have to do the work, right? So I really respect that. And I think it's the same for, people that got really good at stand-up. We know there are people that have had a couple of legs up in the industry, or, they've done it slightly on easy mode, but generally speaking, if someone's on stage for 20 minutes and crushing it, it's not by accident.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agreed, yeah. I mean, we all
That's
did,
why that's why here.
we all did it.
Barcelona Fringe.
We're
did it.
performing, baby.
Yeah.
Crushing it.
We
You
did
saw
a
my
gig
show.
last night.
Yeah, I saw your show.
Yeah. And I saw
we
your
saw
show.
your show.
And I saw your show. What a great night.
Yeah, and then we all went out. It's nice when we get to all run into each other, because we didn't even know.
Well, I was just saying to a friend that, what an incredible... We have to sometimes take stock and go, yeah, we do all live like travelling carny slobs, right? And there's no job security, and a lot of the time this isn't a great job.
Yeah.
But we have, we've been, this year alone, we've been frolicking on the beach in Perth, having a barbecue in Adelaide. We've done, we've hung out in London, having burgers late at night. We've been in artist bars at the Edinburgh Fringe. Now we're on the rooftop. It's and that's all comedy that's done that.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant.
We talk about this a lot. We talk about this a lot. That sometimes we're just we're somewhere and we're can't believe we get paid to tell jokes on the Italian Riviera.
It's literally comedy's done this.
It's mad.
It does feel like a cheat code.
What is your take on the European audiences?
Well, I've been thinking about this a lot, because do you know that I kind of got my start in comedy in Europe?
Yeah.
Well, back when Britain was part of the EU. No, the first
I
time
thought you started in Asia.
Well, kind of. So my
What was it?
So the first open mic I signed up for was in Paris. So I was a student in Paris. I'd never seen live comedy in a small room. I'd only ever seen it in big theatres. Didn't know it was a small room thing. And I totally fell in love with it. Sebastian Marx, who's still a comic doing brilliantly now, was hosting a show. They only had one English show a week. And I went out to him after and I was like, this is great. I'd love to do it. Got some advice from some of the other comics, including a guy called Paul Taylor, who performs bilingually. Sarah Donnelly.
By the way, I find that really interesting. I've started following that guy, Paul Taylor, and I was just like, out of all of the countries in which you could perform bilingually, I would imagine French might be the hardest because the French are just like, we don't speak English. We don't, you know.
But the French that do speak English is a big part of their identity, and the riches are in the niches. Like Paul is.
It's remarkable.
Paul is not a household name necessarily, but to the group of. And how lucky is he, or maybe it's not luck, maybe it's skill, that his audience is like educated, affluent, mobile, the kind of people that can spend 30 euros on a ticket. Something fun's going on down there. But anyway, so that...
Don't mind the peasants.
We were just on some scaffolding. So that mic, I signed up, and I was instantly hooked. I wrote a set all about how I was getting on terribly with dating French girls. Literally, spoke fluent French, was living in France, didn't go on one date with a French girl, couldn't do it. Well, I went on one date that was I thought was nearly a date, and then she ended up crying. So...
She ended up crying?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. So the point is, I then wrote this set, was ready to go to the open mic, and then met this Hungarian girl, and I was like, well, she's really fit, so there's no way she's hearing these stories. So I never did it. Saved that set, moved back to the UK to finish my degree. She broke up with me almost immediately as soon as I moved back. Then the next week got on a Eurostar back to Paris to do that gig. So, yeah, Paris was my start. And so I think about European audiences a lot, that they've changed in that 12 years since that gig.
12 years?
Yeah, I've been going for 12 years now. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
It's mad.
You've been going longer than me.
Yeah, that's why I'm better.
Same. Yeah, that's why he's better.
Well,
He breaks you. Just it's so easy. It's so easy.
It's so easy. And I'm better looking. And more attractive girls want to sleep with me. And I've got more followers than you.
I'm taller.
All right, but I
do you want to know something? Last night we were all went out. We all went out with
had a good laugh.
bunch of comedians, and it was really fun, and it was great. And then we were talking to this comedian who was hosting the show we were in, Marnie Manning, and she comes up to me, she goes, you know, the three of you, I think you all got a toxic relationship. You're just all so mean to each other. It's like, us girls, we don't do that. We're very supportive of each other. You're always like, oh, you know, you suck, no, you suck, bro. And he's like, yeah, but it's all fun. She's like, you know, when we need it, you know, we're there for each other. He's like behind closed doors, we're nice to each other. He goes, I walked in, you were behind closed doors, and you were all just being guns to each other.
Yeah, we were really very mean.
Yeah, I mean, André, last night, I was really impressed by his set. Because you know, like I think good comedy, particularly in Europe, is you've really got to root it to the place you're in, right? Like it's just not enough to just say hello Barcelona and not reference it. If you don't know a little bit of Catalonian politics or whatever it is, right, you've got to right really ground yourself. André did so much of that. He was really good. I was really impressed by him, and so because of that, so the room looked great, full room, nice big stage, good production. So I take a video of André and caption it with really sad to see André doing so badly in this room. It's a tough watch, which is a really funny thing to say. But the point is, like, what...
And I was like, I ended up reposting it, but I was like, I'm not going to repost this. And I'm like, oh, you're doing one of George? Then he goes, yeah, and then he shows me the next verse, like, thankfully, Greek comedians there to pick up the pieces. And I'm like, fucking kind of, like... Because then you showed me some random person that I don't know who it is. He goes, oh, look at this person just messaged me. He goes, shots fired. I'm like, yeah, that person doesn't know you're joking.
I think they do. But like, the truth is, though, I can only do that because you killed it. And we all know that we've all done shows which have been pulled because ticket sales haven't been so good, or we've done a show where, like, you had to take a creative picture from the back of the room to make those three heads look like an audience, right? We don't celebrate. Like, I wouldn't dream of doing that.
Tell us about the European audiences.
Oh, okay. So
come back because we, as usual, you started telling your story and then it became about André.
80 little, yeah. I think and this is someone who's now gigged a lot.
Well, I just want to say what I think.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't believe you have. I don't believe
ahead.
you have thoughts that aren't pictures of your own face in your head. I believe your brain is just a series of Rolodex.
Yeah, well, but now, right now, I played to myself.
Don't move. Don't move. This scaffolding will kill us.
Dude.
This chair is...
Oh, it's so perilous. You're literally. You're on the.
Oh, I'm
You're literally living on the edge.
Save your life, maybe.
Dude, I'm actually more relaxed than when we were at the Grand Canyon. Like, I was
Please.
stressed about
This podcast. I mean, the only way this podcast is going to do numbers is if one of us dies.
How good is the Sagrada Familia, though? It's a good background, right?
Yeah, this is great.
I love
It'd be
it
nice when it's finished.
The Spanish have the same approach to like sites, I think, as the Greeks.
Yeah.
In the sense that construction never finishes.
Yeah,
But as soon as they finish the front,
the Acropolis. When's that going to get done?
as soon as they finish the front, they'll come to the back to restore it. It's the biggest scam in history.
Yeah,
it just keeps going.
The Acropolis, they started the work BC.
But
They're like, Jesus has come and gone and you have to finish construction.
But one thing I do like about stuff like this is like something that I think Britain doesn't do well is kind of little bits of civic joy, right? Like one of the things I noticed that's quite nice about the way that the Dutch do town planning, the French do it well too, is yeah, you've got a budget, and yeah, Europe's generally not doing well compared to almost any other part of the world at the moment in terms of growth. But there's still a little bit of money reserved just to have a couple of... What are you talking about? What?
Europe is not doing well compared to any other part in the world.
In terms of growth? Europe's been stagnant. For the last 20 years, Europe's GDP has been
Europe is
stagnant.
doing worse than Micronesia.
Yeah, you don't think Zurich is growing faster or Paris is growing faster than Madagascar?
Are you crazy?
Hang on, has there ever been a movie about Zurich? So, think of the box office.
Yeah, there's the Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, right. Okay, look, maybe I spoke...
Or anything related to the Holocaust. There's always ties back to Zurich.
Okay, right.
But you were saying about the European audiences.
Yeah, but I want to finish. Let's not ADHD pinball ourselves into oblivion. I believe that one of the nice things about Europe is a little bit of money is always kept aside for a little bit of joy in civic infrastructure, right? Like the best of this were the Russians under. Like in the 1960s, when they were like, let's just make sure that public spaces feel like theme parks, right? And now they haven't been maintained. It's a bit sad, but like stuff like this.
Yeah, that's definitely the saddest part about Russia.
But stuff like, well, the saddest part is you actually but stuff like this, right, actually brings more joy than a 1 percentage point increase in GDP because they've saved money on the construction materials, and I think Spain's quite good at that.
You know, when they were building the Parthenon, busy. The local Athenians.
I doubt they were busy. I bet they were pretty lazy.
Yeah, baby, the jokes are coming in.
Hear that?
Yeah. The local Athenians.
That's 12 years in the game.
The local Athenians, when they were building the Parthenon, were very, very angry at the government because they were saying that you're wasting funds to. And back then, the Parthenon had colours. It was painted red.
Right.
And they were saying that you're spending so much money to make Athens look like a harlot.
No way.
Because they couldn't see the point in this work. But the truth of the matter is, it's these timeless works, a work of art that actually make a city stand out. And nowadays, people don't see it. People still think it's a waste of time to make art in the city center as opposed to something else. And like you don't know the longevity this project might have in terms of making this place a timeless.
But is it,
and Europe?
But I know what you mean. But isn't that why Europe was successful? Well, I think one of the legacies of the Romans as well is that there was this idea that society is going to prosper and continue for generations to come. And when I think about the kind of despondent feeling in the UK, it's because people are not even optimistic about the next 10 years. They're not even optimistic about their next generation. So this idea that we're a country or we're a nation or an empire on ascent. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a defence of empire, but this is a defence of like having a sense that there's a greater lineage to your identity that's going to continue in further forward. Well, and that's why you want to have a stake in civic infrastructure.
Well, they say that the greatest joy is planting seeds of trees you will never live to see grow.
I reckon
I don't
it's
think
anal.
those people ever had an orgasm. If you go, the greatest joy is planting trees you've never gonna be like, Bro, have you come?
Yeah. But in a way, that is planting seed that's never going to grow. So,
Nice.
there we go. So, European audiences.
Talking about it.
Olga on camera yawning there. Good omen.
By the way, you've got great vocabulary. Have I ever told you that? And I mean that in you have
In your
very-
first language.
You've got very, very good
But the
vocabulary.
trick for that is having learned French, I think, because like the expressive English is often from that Latin European origin, right? And so, like, I actually had this chat with Olga yesterday that in that video that TikTok that went, well, for me viral, for you it's just normal numbers, I guess.
Is it? You have a video gone viral?
100K for just me talking to the camera, having a little rant.
That's what people love.
It's crazy. Anyway, but I use the word nomenclature, like meaning naming something, which in normal British English I don't think you'd use very often, but that's like a pretty standard word in French, Spanish. So that's because the word that we'd often use in English would come from the Germanic origin. But if you've learned French, then you've also got this other bundle of words as well. Also learning the law, because I studied law, you just pick up a lot of like Latin from that. So that's why my vocabulary is pretty good, I reckon. European audiences. My theory about European audiences is they are better and easier to play. And the reason why I think they're easier to play is the demographics are self-selecting better comedy goers. So if you do take our average shows in the UK, which are not top secret, they are going to Milton Keynes to the Arts Centre to do 20 minutes on their bi-monthly gig. They're people who comedy's not necessarily their thing, and they've got an abundance of other options, right? Here, when you've got a friendship group of 4 or 5 people where English is the lingua franca, and the demographic is squished, they're not people that are under the age of 18 and people that are over the age of 40. They tend to be this kind of expat young professional got money.
Not that over 40 is bad, by the way.
It's not bad, but it's something to be ashamed of.
Yeah, thank you.
But so what I think is when you think about the audiences that come to the clubhouse in Barcelona, to these clubs in Paris, they tend to be people who are, in my opinion, just slightly more engaged with the world, right? Because necessarily they've all travelled, they've all had a bit of a struggle. I admire anyone that's living in a different country. It's really hard, which means that these are people who just have to live life where they notice more things. Therefore, our job as comedians is noticing things and articulating it in a way that they appreciate. They're going to enjoy our work more.
Yeah, and I also think that that's even an audience that's not sort of recognized by the world, which is this insanely multicultural groups of friends that are we all live in Barcelona, we've met, and everyone's different nationalities. And my partner and my friend's partner, they're of different, so all of a sudden you're in a table and there's 4 or 5 different nationalities. We're all going to go to see a show. Yeah, we're all going to go see a show together, and we're all going to be able to enjoy a comedian together. That's totally different than a group of Americans going to see an American comedian, or a group of British people going to see British comedy, because that's not necessarily representative of
100%
of their culture now, of our cultures. I don't watch television from Portugal. I have no idea what's going on. I'll watch sort of international stuff. I'll watch streaming or...
I also think the audiences here expect to be challenged more.
Yeah.
Like in the UK, I can imagine there's a club in Bristol where I play where there are just certain topics where the audience we don't want to hear about this, right? Whereas here, I reckon, even an audience here in a liberal city would listen to a comic talk about why Trump winning was a good thing, right? Because they're just the kind of people who are just used to being surrounded by difference and challenge to their status quo.
Yeah. And also, I think language, when you speak different languages, right, your brain ends up thinking in different ways, right? This is something that I talk about a lot in my stand-up, and I think that those people relate to that because their day-to-day is that. They're I speak to my girlfriend in one language, I speak to my friend in a different language, I speak to my parents in another language, and I speak another language at work, but maybe I don't speak all of them perfectly, but it's just all a sort of a mix mash, right? And so I think now that is sort of, that's the future of where globalization, because we travel so much easier than our parents and any other generation. We live anywhere we want. You know, we're not attached. Like people now are like, I don't even want to spend I don't want to ever live a winter anymore.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be like a choice.
I know,
You know,
I know we've got the privilege of crows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People just go, I'm gonna go live in South America.
But you are right. I make the choice. I'm like, I don't like the winter in the UK. Therefore, I go to Perth every January. That's a professional decision based on the climate.
Yeah, exactly.
Same as when I was living in Japan. I couldn't bear the summers in Tokyo. That was the reason why I was motivated to go to the Fringe every year.
This is a great phrase, by the way, from Ollie Horn here. Just I couldn't bear the summers in Tokyo.
And that's why I went to Scotland. But also that's
just the guy you're dealing with.
I couldn't bear the summers in Japan, so I'm like...
The summers in Tokyo, don't let me get you started on the summers in Tokyo.
Well, actually, I say Tokyo. It was actually...
There's it has a Saint-Tropez vibe to it, but not quite.
But it's like, it is Japan in the summer is hot and it's humid. And you get through like 3 or 4 T-shirts a day. It's grim.
Yeah?
And it's not like...
And you're a big sweater.
Japanese...
You sweat a lot. No?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a fat thing, isn't it?
I thought, yeah.
Yeah, it's not really the Japan summer as much as it is the body fat.
Okay. No, it's good, and I'm actually part of the joke and enjoying it. So great. So it's actually all good for me as well. Actually happy about this.
Yeah, but if you could live in like in a European city, what city would you choose now?
Well, I don't often think about what a parallel life would look like, but I do sometimes entertain the idea, what if I'd made my French really good, and what if I'd predicted, like Paul Taylor and Sebastian Marx and that gang had predicted, the ascent of French comedy? I do occasionally think Paris is a wonderful city to live in. It's a really wonderful city. There's so much right about Paris. There's a lot wrong too.
I love Barcelona. I love Barcelona.
I love Barcelona.
But this sounds ridiculous, but I don't feel like I live here, but I really feel at home here.
Yeah.
But that isn't anything other than like the community of people here.
I love it. And then you love it also, right?
Yeah.
Your Spanish is like really good.
Yeah. It used to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I spoke to more often. But my Spanish is good.
But you come to terms with the fact that Spain is better than Portugal. And as a culturally...
I didn't even know that was a live debate.
Yeah.
I thought we'd settled that one.
Well, listen, the Portuguese and the Spanish have a very similar relationship to, like, the Scottish and the British, where, like, we think the Spanish are mortal enemies and the Spanish don't give a fuck about us, you know? So that's very much the vibe. But I do love it here. I've seriously thought about living here. Even like at one point in my life, I was looking up houses. Like, I mean, that's the furthest I went. I went online and I'm like, how much is a flat? But I really would like, I would live here. And you?
Yeah,
you thought about living here, right?
Yeah, like in 2021, I was very, very close. It's a great place. It's very, like, I really like the vibe. But there's so many people come to Barcelona and they stay. They were on the kind of, on a search to find themselves, and they came to Barcelona, and there were so many other people that are also like kind of bit of lost souls that like the vibe, and they stayed, and they all became friends.
Yes.
And there's a very funny sense of like, everybody here is trying to figure it out.
But also in a professional way, which is different to Berlin, which also attracts those lost souls. But they managed to find a personality by shoving a vibrator up their arse and making that their life.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas Barcelona has those same lost souls
without
without a dildo up their arse.
Yeah, Berlin's never attracted me. I always thought it was like, I just don't see myself becoming a guy that wears like all leather outfits constantly.
Tell me more about the vibrator.
Is that all I have to do?
Yeah.
Is it a big vibrator?
Well, every vibrator is, I mean, they're not all big, but they are mad, the vibrators nowadays.
Yeah. Have you done it?
Have I done what?
Vibrator up your bum bum?
I've not had a vibrator. I've not had a vibrator up there, but I have enjoyed digital penetration, and that's all I'm going to say on the matter.
Oh, have you had one of those apps?
Called AI?
What?
Well, like one of those apps that controls the vibrator.
No, but it's
So,
not.
like, someone's got the vibrator and you connect to it.
Oh, I have heard about this. I've never done that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that long distance
Dude,
couples should do.
I feel like that's the closest in my life I'm gonna get to like a drone strike. But I'm on the app, I did this one thing once. with
Imagine
an
that
ex-
app getting
where
hacked.
She goes, I'm gonna wear this all day, right? And then sometimes I was just like, start buzzing on it. She goes, I'm in a meeting, stop it.
Using it like a pager in the war.
André had an offer.
You haven't picked up my call, so I'm gonna try a different line.
You can actually communicate using Morse code. Do. Andre needs eggs.
And she goes, oh, and when I said I needed eggs, I found the G-spot.
Very good.
Nice. André once had an offer from a girl to do this, but he was in a moral quandary because he was sort of dating someone else. And he was like, what am I going to do? Should I take a lot of her? She wants me to use that on the Bluetooth. And I said, if you gave it to me and I did it, is it sexual assault?
My God. Well, let's answer that from a legal point of view.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So
It is, yeah?
I studied law. Yeah. So it's assault.
What haven't you done? The summers in Japan, the Erasmus in Paris. I studied law.
Renaissance man, baby.
You know, and look at me now on the top of a scaffold. You know?
I got out with these losers. This wasn't the dream. It is because it's sexual assault if you don't consent to the nature of the act. So
what, if he signed in with his Apple account?
no, so like
would you...
So, like, it's the test in the UK, at least, I don't know what the rules are here, but it's nature and purpose of the act. So the reason for that is, if, for example, a doctor gives you a medical examination, or a singing teacher might press your chest to, help you, right? That action is sexual assault, but because the nature and the purpose of that was to teach singing, therefore it's not. But if there was no cause, if there was no reason a singing teacher should have to touch your breasts, and their intention was sexual, then it becomes sexual assault. So the test is nature. So that's why I would say, yeah, if she thinks that you're controlling it, but actually it's George.
So if she...
Or he.
If this person...
Okay, so if let's get real.
So
Let's work out whether I'm going to be assaulted.
If this person said to André, take it, give it to anybody today.
That's not assault.
Is it an orgy?
Oh,
What if
that's not a legal question.
People got it.
Yeah.
You're really overestimating how long she had that I could go around and just find people. Or what about like if twins are dating one twin is dating one girl and then
This is such classic content for a boys podcast. We have got there.
You just brought up anal vibrators.
Yeah, no, I did. But, and I'm
it was you.
I'm glad we're here, but I just want to take stock of the fact that Gaudí wouldn't be impressed with what we're chatting about, would he?
You don't know what Gaudí was up to?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, he was a kinky motherfucker.
Right,
You look at the buildings. You were telling me that guy's into some weird stuff.
Right, I'm just going to go through the podcast topics.
Oh, yeah?
Right, so because we've got about 4 minutes left of the podcast.
4 minutes? Oh, no.
So, we thought we'd all live here. I think we've had that chat. The thing is, Brexit has had an impact on me that I totally would. There was actually a time when Olga, who's doing the video, she had a spare room last year and I was essentially homeless. If Brexit wasn't a thing, I definitely would have taken the lease for 6 months and just worked out what I was doing.
What? And you couldn't just because of the...
Because visas and, I couldn't pause my UK tax residency and, it would have just been a challenge. And also, I would have had to find work. Like, you can't really make a living doing comedy here. Even the comics that are making a living here, they're leaving to tour. And so, you have to...
But that's what we all do.
Yeah.
Sure, but, that's harder when you don't have residency here because if you want to do... the people that overstay their visa do dodgy stuff, right? They, lose their passport and then get a new passport without the stamp. And so, they can't leave the country, right? So, there's no way of even doing it in a dodgy way.
Here's one thing I want to talk about since we have to wrap this up. So today, Charlotte and I and André were having a chat, and I often I tell Charlotte that in Spain, in Barcelona, the Spanish and the Catalans call the Brits giri.
Yeah.
Right, giri.
Like foreigner. In Japanese, you'd say gaijin.
Yes, and then
Oh, wow.
In Chinese, you'd say guaylo. Well, Cantonese.
and in Jewish say Gentile, But it's giri.
Or
but
Brits say
it's giri.
filthy immigrants.
Giri isn't for foreigners. Giri is a particular type of foreigner that is like British. Is a type that go pink in the sun. So British.
Is that me?
German, yeah. British, Germans. It's not just any foreigner. It's not geary for Brazilians. Like it's geary
We're getting
for,
the nod from Olga from behind the
It's
camera.
geary
It's like, this information is adding up.
You dirty boy.
for a particular type of foreigner. Like I'm not a geary at all.
So like
He's-
Scandinavian.
He's Scandinavians, yeah.
What, I'm a Gaudí?
Yeah.
I thought you were black.
No. Yeah. I'm not. Is he a Gaudí?
Yeah. But you're not.
All these.
Why are you
yeah,
nodding
I'm
at in a
not. But what did
disapproving
you say
way?
I was then?
I said you're not.
Stop wobbling.
So, and I told Charlotte that, and she was like, fuck, I hate being British. I hate everything, all the associations. I hate everything about being British. I just hate it. And it's not the first time she says it, how much she hates being British.
Yeah, but it's that complex that means that she's dating a foreigner. You're the beneficiary of this pathology.
Yeah, for sure. Like, but I'm enjoying this, and I often tell her how shit it is to be British. It's fun, but like, she really hates it. But I don't hate being Greek to the same extent.
But you don't live being Greek.
He doesn't hate being Portuguese.
No, I hated it more when
lives
I
off it.
lived in Portugal.
Yeah.
And then when I left, I became more patriotic.
Yeah.
I think that happens. You when you leave your country, you learn to love your.
Oh, 100%. I went on that journey when I moved to Japan. 100%.
So she hates being British. Do you hate being British?
No. But I don't see, only because of doing comedy, do I have to maintain some relationship with being British, I think. Because, like, you know, we are who we are on stage, right? It's whoever the audience thinks we are. And the way I talk, the way I look, all that stuff is British. So I think my relationship with Britain is maintained stronger by virtue of the fact that, you know, I have to see myself through the lens of my audience. But
So you're saying if you did not do comedy, you would be living your life in Paris.
There is a parallel universe where I completed my...
You're dead? You're dead, right? You haven't.
Not worth it.
Okay, carry on.
There's a parallel universe where I would have continued my training in Paris and I would have, like, you know, I would have embodied being French, I reckon.
You would look great in a beret.
I think I would.
Just making a baguette and coming out with a mustache.
Yeah, he was gonna take the roles that Gérard Depardieu lost when he moved to Russia.
Yeah.
The Gérard Depardieu.
Do you want to know one of my favourite Joe Pasquale jokes? If Gerard Depardieu married Whoopi Goldberg, she'd be called Whoopi Dippy Doo.
Very nice.
It's all right there.
Wow.
Okay.
And that's your favorite comic. And on that note, I mean, just, you know, take 1 second to really...
All we've actually done is spoil the view for these people. We've just gotten in the way.
Appreciate. I think it's
Hey, you don't know where our listeners, viewers are from?
And also,
and we don't either because none of the episodes have been released yet.
But what a great analogy that this is a work in progress, but people are still fascinated by it. We are all work in progresses, but people are still here to support.
Thank you.
Yes.
And the listeners are also work in progress themselves.
Exactly.
So if you feel like you haven't achieved who you want to be yet, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you're thinking, if I just spent an hour watching this on YouTube and I could have done literally anything, there's an outside I could have gone to.
Yeah.
If that's you right
You
now.
could have gone to the actual Sagrada Familia.
Yeah, all you got to do is do open mic comedy for 4 to 5 years, do open spots where you're making an actual loss on every gig for another 2 or 3, and then start to eventually build an audience on a...
Yeah. And then you will make maybe like 100 euros per show after a decade.
We're getting more than that. I don't know who's negotiating.
Someone texted me today and they said, "Are you happy with the life you've chosen?" And I'm like, "I've sold 15 tickets tonight." I don't want to discuss this.
Let me share with you a question that I was chatting with Josh. I'm going to say this because he'll like this. Josh Glantz, fantastic comedian, also trained as a lawyer. Briefly was a lawyer, and he's a clown, brilliant comic. He said, if I was a lawyer and had the house and had the money and had presumably the family and everything, all the trappings that come with it, lifestyle creep, and that guy met me now.
That's my show. My show is going to be that next year.
It's a great question to ask. And his theory is that guy would have way more questions for him as a comedian than vice versa.
That is exactly what my show is about next year.
Great.
It's about me meeting that person.
I've tried to sell to the
Calling
audience.
it the butterfly effect.
Yeah, lovely. L'effet papillon.
Is that Japanese?
Yeah. How would you say in Japanese? Not Eikyo or something. Anyway, the interesting thing for me is...
Sorry, I don't think this scaffolding can handle your big language cock that you're just throwing out there. Well, why would you say this in Japan? You know, as soon as you arrived here and, you know, very kindly met the 2 lovely girls that gave us the rooftop, you're like, oh, what would you like? Oh, yeah, shin, whatever. We were like, well, and I was like so nonchalant, the whole thing.
This, honestly, we can cut that, right?
No. Him just going,
He's making it very great.
teetering. But can you please show that they're laughing at least? At least he's laughing.
Ollie, I could feel Ollie was gearing up to a nice little finish.
Yeah, oh, totally.
then he came
Well,
in
he
the-
is a giddy.
I totally had a sense of narrative arc.
Sorry, my bad.
But this idea, what we were talking about, meeting that person.
And who the other person will be, you know, that whole idea.
Yeah.
Of your alternative life.
Yeah.
And I've
great.
I think that's a great premise for a show, and I think you should do it. I think it's great.
I'm writing it.
Great.
Yeah.
I've been trying to sell to the audience today that I know how much my friends are earning. So I know that, like, if I'd continued at law school on their path, right? So my tickets are 15 euros. It's like, yeah, you've paid 15 euros. I've paid with opportunity cost. I'm subsidising this gig more than you know. And, like, I really want to sell that idea to an audience, but I've not managed to do it yet.
Yeah, I can
I'm
see.
so-
I can see the again, great premise. The ingredients are there,
Yeah.
and you one day you will
But
get
you're
over
just,
the line.
yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah, thank
Best of luck. I'll shake your hand. Best of luck for your continued success.
Thank you
and
very
journey.
much.
I was an absolute privilege to know you
Hey.
both.
Very nice.
You're one of the good ones, Ollie. You're one of the good ones.
Gracias,
I mean,
muchas
you know,
gracias.
you're
I don't
a
want to
fucking
toot
giddy.
I don't want to toot your own horn, but
Hey.
what are you doing? How can people find you?
My Instagram, Ollie Horn Comedy. That's the moment I get more followers than him, I'm deleting my account.
Yeah, Comedy for Toxic People. That's his show. It's very funny.
Oh yeah, you saw it.
Yeah, we went to
And
see it. It's very funny.
toast.
Yeah, I do it all, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
And more than that, a massive thank you to the girls.
Yes.
Shout out to the girls.
Here come the girls, and to Olga behind the
And
camera.
to Olga behind the camera who very kindly agreed to do this. And to the people who built the scaffolding.
Yeah, I do not. I'm leaving the scaffolding the moment she
To the
cuts.
civic city
Yeah.
of Barcelona.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Wait, one at a time.